I'm Michelle Ely from the Starlight Tribune, an Arrow TV show fan podcast, part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other amazing geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
This is the official GonnaGeek.com show. Each week, we run down the latest news and happenings in the world of geek. These are your hosts for the show, Steven, Chris, and SP.
Welcome to episode 312 of the official GonnaGeek.com show. This is week number 2 of Christmas Palooza. I am Steven Jondra, and I am pleased to say Santa Claus himself, the man that kicked off the whole Christmas thing here, Chris Farrell is here.
Ho, ho, ho. It's cold in my basement because I forgot to turn on the space heater.
I'm also pleased to say that SP, the man who tells Chris Farrell, thank you very much, Chris, for being into Christmas from October. SP is also here.
From September to October, I think it's just 365 days a year.
It is, isn't it? That's true.
Yeah.
And I think that he is known as Christmas Farrell. I think that is his
Chris
new name.
Kringle Farrell.
Chris Kringle? I thought it was just Christmas Farrell. No, it's Chris.
With this Santa hat that I found when I was cleaning out that is too small to fit on my giant head, let alone with headphones on.
Well, for what it's worth, I have a microphone flag that we could all pretend is a Santa hat. That's what we can do. So
that's not a mic flag. That's a foam.
I meant to say mic foam, but I mixed up my F words. And the other one that I was going to say, I'm glad I didn't say it.
Fire truck.
That's exactly it. We are here to talk about geeky news, sometimes about fire trucks, apparently. And if you are checking the show out for the first time this week, we are running a little bit shorter today of a show. We just got some news to run through, and then we'll go ahead and close it all up. It's a busy time of year. We got things happening. Chris Farrell has told me that I have to spend time thinking of all of the ways that he is better than me, writing him an email, sending it to him, and then realizing that he is the superior person here on the GonnaGeek.com show. So that's my homework after this.
There's one way we know that already. How many episodes do you have and how many do I have under my belt?
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's because you had a Stream Deck and I don't.
I've given up pressuring you on the Stream Deck. I would have thought there's enough peer pressure and memification going on that you would have caved on the Stream Deck by now. Kudos to Suncast for the fantastic meme, but Steven still won't cave because he's stronger than us, it would appear.
SP, as the other person that's better than me, what's your take on that? Should I have bought a Stream Deck, or am I right to stand my ground and know that my keyboards, my macro keys work just fine?
You totally should have bought a Stream Deck, and you still have time to buy the Stream Deck. And I think you should buy the Stream Deck, because what else are you going to buy for the studio this year? You got everything you need.
I could buy myself a new knife for my unboxing videos, because my other one is all worn out and is a Canadian Tire brand.
Oh, you need a new knife? I could have sent you a new knife. I got one here.
Look at these
got
pretty
one
buttons.
Here. I got another one here.
They got logos.
Got another one in here.
For the audio listener, I should fill you in. SP is pulling out an uncertain amount of an unnerving amount of knives, and Chris Farrell is stroking his Stream Deck. So let's just go ahead and move on to the news. Chris Farrell, you're going to start us off here with information about one of the projects that I think, if you go back and listen, you were quoted as saying this was going to be the greatest thing ever. I think those are your exact words.
Don't put words in my mouth. Don't. I don't remember exactly what my original opinion was. Probably skeptical, because I remained so to this day. But guys, we know the mini console craze is going crazy. We've seen the SNES Classic, the NES Classic, the PlayStation Classic, which is hot garbage, and now the Sega Genesis Classic. Well, when this was going on, there was this big demand for classic gaming systems that basically ran ROMs. we heard about the Atari VCS that came up on Indiegogo, and everyone went, what the crap is this? And a bunch of people backed it, and I kind of stopped paying attention to it for a while when I saw it successfully passed its backing goal on Indiegogo. And lo and behold, I found out it was supposed to be coming out this December for Indiegogo backers, but not so much. So the VCS, which I mentioned is the crowd-funded, retro-styled, but modern console and gaming PC, is delayed for everyone who donated to the venture on Indiegogo. The VCS makers still expect to hit the general ship date of March 2020, but the beggars will be getting their units after December when it was last promised. So let's get a little background about that, and we can go and hear from Michael Arzt, the Atari Chief Operating Officer, who's attributed the delay to a hardware upgrade, the same reason for the VCS's first delay from a launch originally set for late spring or early summer of this year. So this is delayed too. According to Mr. Arzt, he said, we were offered an opportunity to incorporate an all-new microprocessor built on a more powerful and efficient architecture. This was posted on Medium. He said the team is well aware that the delay impacted our backers, but feels strongly that we made the right decision to improve the product's performance. Atari will always prioritize delivering a high-quality product over a self-imposed deadline. Our Indiegogo backers are extremely important to us, and the entire team and I would like to thank our backers once again for their loyalty and continued support. I'm sure they understand our prioritization of delivering a quality product above all else. Okay. The Atari VCS, this is a system that does have a bunch of classic Atari 2600 ROMs loaded on it, but it's not just a throwback mini console. It's effectively a Linux gaming PC. It has a state-of-the-art AMD processor, 4 gigs of RAM, supports 4K HDR, and it's more than capable of running a lot of current games that are out there. There's also a more expensive version that runs that has 8 gigs of RAM. Neither of these come with an input device, however. The gamepad and throwback joystick cost $50 or $60 respectively, and there are some bundles that offer one or both. So Atari said they're not going to make it in December. They haven't issued a new release date for backers yet, but they did state that it is a matter of weeks, not months of delay they're looking into. So if you back the Indiegogo, you should be getting it sometime soon. And then in March, it should be hitting locations such as GameStop, Walmart, and Atari's digital storefront. So is it okay to delay a second time for a slightly better processor when your Indiegogo backers have been clamoring for it and are your best supporters, and this is the second time that you've delayed a product on them? It burns up a lot of goodwill, I would think. Now, a lot of people are probably okay with it, but if it were me, I would be starting to get annoyed, I think might be the best term.
I agree. I think that this would be very annoying if I was a backer, because this isn't the first time. The first time you're like, okay, I guess it makes sense. You got to get it right. You got to have a little bit better hardware, and you kind of write it off in that matter. But then you look at so many of these other things that have come out here, and you're just like, why am I continuing to wait and wait and wait, as they are just never satisfied? And the question that's also probably burning in the back of your mind is the better hardware, because it doesn't work with the current hardware.
That would be a concern I would be having. I imagine something's going to be happening. I will say I'm one of those that has been skeptical from the start. So my skepticism is quite potentially coloring my opinion now. But I look at it and go, it's the same problem as before. It runs a bunch of classic Atari games on hardware that doesn't really need to be that powerful. And there's a promise of saying you can play video games on a Linux PC as well, and we're going to release games. But I haven't really heard where you get those games from, whether you're just buying them yourself and installing them on this. And if so, what's the reason I need this instead of finding other ways to play my Atari games, like buying one of those El Cheapo Ataris in a box that they resell legally every Christmas? I'm not talking about going out and getting ROMs and putting them on your computer, because that is of questionable legality. But there's nothing here that makes me go, oh my God, I have to have this. And this is coming from someone who, if you go up to my entertainment center, has a Switch, PS4, and Xbox One plugged into it. So I have more gaming consoles than I know what to do with, and arguably I should be interested in this. But I'm kind of going, I don't know where they're going with this, and this second delay kind of makes me happy that I didn't back it.
What's your take on this, SP?
So a couple of things. I, like Chris, like plugging a lot of things into my TV. And true story, I just bought a new receiver so I could switch to more peripherals, more game consoles, more streaming things. Yeah, it just got delivered today. It's really cool.
How many inputs you got now?
6.
Ooh,
But
6.
I also
got
have
6 too. Internet fist bump.
But I also have 2 outputs.
I only got 1. No, I have 2 also. It's delightful. I'm
okay.
only using 1, but
Well,
Yeah, I'm going
I
to use
have
that second output.
unlimited outputs
Wow.
because I'll take my video and stream it through the internet. Thus, people can put it on their televisions,
Hey,
and
hey.
it's unlimited.
And Steven, you want to know how I'm going to change scenes when I stream mine on the internet? With my Stream Deck by Streamlabs.
Well played. Well played.
Buy
Okay.
one, Steven. Buy one.
Okay, first off, if you're gonna try to sell me a product, it's not by Streamlabs. It's by
Elgato.
Thank you,
I
Chris.
misspoke.
Exactly.
I apologize.
And secondly, how dare you interrupt my friend Stargate Pioneer so that we can get off the topic of me buying a Stream Deck?
Well, if he's talking about Stream Deck, that's fine. He can interrupt me all night. So I can play a video game on one screen and then I can stream on another, all with the control of one remote, one Harmony remote. So it's going to be great through one receiver. So that's number one. Number two, this 2600, the Atari 2600, was formally discontinued on January 1st, 1992. That means that people have been waiting 27 years for a new console from Atari that would mimic the 2600. So I think a couple other months, it's just fine. I mean, unless you're on your deathbed, which I assume they could ship you out a unit with the older processor. I mean, if you complain like that. So yeah, I think it's fine waiting a couple more months. It's 27 years. A few more months isn't going to bust anything.
You're being rational on the internet. This is not allowed.
I'm with Chris. We should burn it all down.
Burn it to the ground.
Chris, the Cybertruck hater on the podcast.
Yes, if you read the comments on our podcast, evidently I'm the Cybertruck hater, and I'm still struggling to figure out why exactly, but I will gladly take that hat and wear it, I guess, even though I'm not sure how factual it is.
So not only are you the Cybertruck hater, you are now the Atari VCS hater.
To be fair, I might have been the Atari VCS hater when it was first announced, and I just don't remember. It sounds like it would be in character for me.
Oh, I loved it when you talked about it. And I think you liked it too, but I absolutely loved it because Atari 2600, that's my peeps, right? That's my games. And I would love to play Space Invaders again on the Atari 2600, as well as other things like ET and stuff like that. But yeah, I would be really grateful to get one of these consoles. I haven't pre-ordered it. I didn't back it or anything, but yeah, I'm looking forward to getting one of these consoles someday.
You're hoping you'll get one of these consoles one day. I think that's the correct term here.
I think they're going to come out. I mean, okay, take a look at what's happened recently with TVs. Netflix and I think Prime, I could be mistaken on the second one, but I know Netflix has discontinued their support for certain smart TVs because they don't support the correct DRM. If supporting whatever they need to needs a new processor to make it last longer, I'm all for that.
I don't think the processor's there for the Atari ROMs, let's be honest, because if for Atari ROMs, you can play that on a web browser in a lot of places. My assumption is the new processor is more to make it a better gaming system for newer and more modern stuff.
I agree.
I want the i9 processor and I want a
AMD
GTX 2080 Ti-X, whatever, the latest and greatest graphic processor and the CPU processor. I want that on my Atari machine.
And I want a pony.
How about a Oculus, what is it called? Oculus VR set.
I have a headache just thinking about using that.
Okay.
You know what I want to do?
I feel old now.
I want to segue to the next news. That's what I want to do. And before we get over to that, I did roll a poll at geeks.live. Yes, we record this live on Mondays at 8:45 p.m. Eastern, and we like to run polls while we do this. I asked the question,
And
what
dance
do you
on 'em.
what do you think of the Atari VCS history? We had 25% say it's been a complete disaster. 25% say it's been disappointing. 25% say it's been fine, things happen. And 25% say, I didn't know about the Atari VCS until today. And remember, if you have Atari VCS, see your doctor. Moving on to the next news point here, we're going to talk a little bit about Facebook. Facebook making it possible for you to move your data from their data mining service over to another data mining service. If you have photos on your Facebook, there is a new tool that Facebook's going to be releasing that's going to allow users to transfer photos directly from Facebook over to Google Photos. This is initially going to be released in Ireland, of all places, and will be worldwide by the first half of 2020. And the reason behind this is, quote, for almost a decade, we've enabled people to download their information from Facebook. The photo transfer tool we're starting to roll out today is based on code development through our participation in the open source data transfer project, end quote. This was a quote from Steve Satterfield, the director of privacy and public policy at Facebook. Basically, he has no job if it's about privacy at Facebook. Oh, did I say that? Oh,
zing, 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 zing. I see what you did there.
However, there's two things I want to highlight on this. Number one, obviously the big purpose of this is going to be people who back in the day, before the Instagrams, before the Snapchats, they used to go and they used to take pictures and they'd upload them directly to their Facebook. How many times did we see that? It'd say uploaded to camera or uploaded mobile uploads or whatever. So people are going to be able to take that and put it into Google Photos. The second thing is here, I didn't know that the data transfer project was a thing. And the data transfer project is a project that includes participants, including Apple, Google, Microsoft, Twitter, and several others. And the idea being that there is I guess maybe a platform or a open source project that will have the ability to transfer data across projects because it's kind of trying to create a standard. I thought that was interesting. I had no idea that that was a thing, but it makes sense because why wouldn't the data mining companies want to make it easier to mine each other's data?
Yeah, well.
I personally have no real use for this, but I thought that it was an interesting concept just because I do remember back in the day, there were a lot of people who did upload things directly to Facebook.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think. I mean, even when I had just my iPhone, I was still backing up an iCloud, and I think I had the Amazon backup in there too. So I'm not sure how big a problem it necessarily is. It's not necessarily a bad thing that they're developing this. I like being able to say, hey, move all of my photos to here because it makes my life easier. And I'm literally just pushing a button saying, do this instead of having to copy, paste, or enable syncing on my phone. It's an interesting thing. I hope they set it up so you can literally just check a box and be like synchronized syncing, or synchronized syncing. That doesn't make sense. Be constantly syncing so that anytime I upload a photo, Facebook goes, oh, let me spit this out to Google, whoop, and moves it over to the Google side. That'd be nice.
Well, and I think that that's really going to be the case. Is it's going to be people who didn't take the photo in their camera roll and then upload it. It'll be people who actually use the app itself to take pictures.
Even then, doesn't it save a copy on your phone when you do it?
I don't think it does on Android. I don't know if it does on iOS.
It might now. It didn't used to back in the day. It was just direct to the app. But this was like the days of the iPhone 4 and 3GS and stuff.
Because I don't know for sure. I haven't done anything to Facebook for a while, but I do know that like Google Hangouts, if I take a picture in there, it doesn't go into my photos. By the way, for the audio listener, right now, Chris is taking a picture and I'm presuming adding us to Facebook right now. So our picture is going to be all over Chris's Facebook. And then people can say, why are you uploading this picture of these ugly people? Mainly me.
So that I can look handsome in comparison for once.
By the way, Stephen, do you notice that he recoiled from last week and he is wearing West Virginia college team colors this week? So he's not a Minnesota Golden Gopher this week.
To be fair, like 80% of the clothing I own has a flying WV in some way, shape, or form on it.
I think it was intentional. I think it was intentional this week.
The odds were it was probably going to show up on there.
And before we get off of this news point here, I did ask the question, have you ever uploaded photos directly to Facebook? And everyone said they had at one point or another. And I'm not surprised because Facebook used to do that. I know I still have memories come up that I took directly from my phone right up to Facebook. I used to do that all the time when I was trying to send SP seductive pictures.
I get memories all the time of pictures that I took with my mirrored camera, and then I had to upload them later. And I remember this was one of the first times that I used that SD transfer cord into my iPhone, because I was on a hockey tournament and I was taking pictures and I wanted to load them up to Facebook so that the coach could see or other players could see or whatever. So I remember doing that back in the day. And yes, that is back in the day for me. It's been a long time since I've been a hockey dad. I'd be glad to be a hockey grandpa someday, but not there yet. And then also with the Facebook photos thing, if I take a picture with a Muppet, can I upload it to my portal and then connect with Kermit and, all the rest of the Muppets that way?
Of course you can.
Okay.
Disney going to say no. You got to do that through Disney Plus, not through Facebook and Portal.
That is not what the commercials are saying, Chris. The commercials are
lie.
saying I can talk back and forth to Muppets if I own a Facebook portal.
You can only talk to them through Disney Plus. So buy Disney Plus for $6.99 a month at DisneyPlus.com and use referral code GonnaGeek.
Okay, so hold on. Stream Deck, Disney Plus. Who's next that we're trying to sell here?
Or get your Verizon Unlimited plan and get your 1 year of Disney Plus for free.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
If we're just going to do that, get beer. I don't care what beer at this point, just beer.
Well, now we can't be marketed towards children for this episode. So good job, Steven.
Has this video been created for children? Click no.
Okay, so Chris, you did a test right now. To recap what just happened in that chaos. Chris took a picture of us, uploaded it to Facebook directly. Did it show up in your photos section of your Android?
It did not show up in the Facebook photo of Google Photos. However, if I go to the images folder, there's a Facebook one there that does have the image I just uploaded, I think. No, those are things I downloaded.
See,
I have no idea where it went.
So it just went probably directly through the app right up and bypassed everything else. It sounds like.
I guess. That's weird. I didn't realize it would do that. Because
Yeah.
Instagram, for instance, leaves a copy on your phone of the original and what you doctor, which is owned by Facebook. So I wonder why Facebook's camera would be so... never mind. It requires logic, and that's not going to happen.
Well, moving on to the next news one here. SP, king of the Apple products, is happy to say he is getting in on a class action lawsuit.
I am actually, and that is because I bought an Apple product just today specifically so I could get in on this class action lawsuit. What's going on? I've been paying attention to this because I pay attention to tech blogs and podcasts, and this has been going on for a while. There's been a class action against Apple over the MacBook Butterfly keyboards. And anybody that's owned a MacBook the last few years, they redesigned it for these butterfly versus the scissor keyboards, and they have been nothing but problems. So there's been a class action lawsuit. Well, apparently there was a move afoot by Apple to dismiss the lawsuit. And this is what happened. I spied a story on CNET by Ian Scher today. It was titled, "Judge Says Class Action Over Apple's MacBook Butterfly Keyboards Can Continue." And this is what it said. A federal judge in California rejected Apple's request to dismiss a class action lawsuit from customers who said it failed to address issues with the Butterfly keyboard on its MacBook laptops. In a ruling on Monday, U.S. District Judge Edward Delvia wrote that upset MacBook customers could continue their lawsuit in part because Apple's attempted fixes over the years and further repair programs for the keyboards were possible signs it didn't provide an effective fix for the devices. Apple, in the meantime, went back to the standard scissor design with its newest laptops last month, prompting praise from reviewers. The judge was careful to add, however, he wasn't issuing a ruling on the actual case on Monday. He was just allowing it to move forward despite Apple's objections. And I'm waiting, by the way, for the class action lawsuit by Apple employees that have received concussions for walking into glass at the new Apple headquarters in Cupertino.
They would usually file that, but they can't remember that they did it, so they can't file it.
No, I'm sure they've signed something with their employment contract saying that they can't sue Apple for stuff like that. I'm only like 30% joking.
Yeah, I think that's an OSHA thing. I think they're allowed to sue for that.
OSHA smosha. It's Apple. They do what they want.
Wait,
Obviously.
the Apple headquarters is located in the ocean? Is that what you said?
It's in the ocean of Mars on Suncast, outside of Suncast Martian base, where he posts on Spacebook about it.
And for those that thought I was kidding, I am not. I actually bought a MacBook Air today, which has the old butterfly keyboards on it. And I did so for all the other reasons, but I saw this story. I'm like, ha ha! Class action lawsuit. Here it comes.
So you get your $5.
Yeah, that's what it comes out to, $5.
So SP, what are you going to do with your $5? Buy Starbucks?
I think I might back the Atari VCS.
It's already done. You can't back it.
Well,
but you can back my Atari VCD stuff, video console. Something
you want me to back a VD?
No, I said VCD. Thank you very much. Don't try and put words in my mouth. There's enough people on the internet doing that already.
I just wanted to shorten it. So VD. So
no. Next thing you know, you're going to be saying, I hate Tesla.
Yes. Chris, Cybertruck hater. Chris, Apple VC or Atari VCS detractor, and Chris, supporter of the VDs.
Video game data.
Can I even publish this episode now? Like, I don't even know if we're even allowed to publish this episode anymore.
Have you bought your Stream Deck yet?
Yeah, if you buy your Stream Deck, we'll be good. We'll stop screwing around. You can publish the episode. Just buy your Stream Deck, Steven. It's sitting there. It's sitting there on your screen right now. You probably still have the tab open. And it's going, Steven, buy me. You need me in your tech setup. That's the Stream Deck speaking.
Okay, so I did a poll at Geeks.live, and it's a 50-50 split between people having issues and never owning a butterfly keyboard. I think we got a lot of PC people who check out our show at Geeks.live. But I have to say, I didn't actually realize this was a problem until today. I can't believe I didn't follow this at all. I had no idea that this was a problem.
Yeah, it's been going on for a while. And I am a Windows guy. I'm not an Apple OS guy, MacBook guy. I only have them. We talked about this on the show a couple of weeks ago. I only have Apple mobile products. This, I did buy it. It is in my name, but it's for a family member that needs it and is going to be paying for it. So,
hey, guess what? You don't have to support that family member anymore, do you? Because you don't know Max.
No idea.
But you know who does know Max? Steven John Drew. So tell her to email steven@gonnageek.com for cutting edge Mac advice.
Honestly, I'm not going to do that to her because I know that I will give her the better John Drew's brother email address because he does know Mac because he's the better John Drew.
Moving on to our extra. Chris, you had a couple of points here that you wanted to quickly highlight today, didn't you?
Oh, sure. We'll touch on both of them real quick because we've been talking too much Apple here. I got to get that taste out of my mouth. Let's talk Android, and we can sort of make fun of Samsung a little bit until we realize maybe we shouldn't be. But Samsung is starting the slow and arduous process of updating its flagship smartphone to Android 10. The beginning of the rollout has begun now, according to tracking sites, starting with the Exynos-powered Galaxy S10s in European and Asian countries like Germany, South Korea, the United Kingdom, India, Poland, and more. Android 10 came out on September 3rd. The first devices landed the update November 28th, and then Samsung took 86 days to begin the rollout of stable builds of Android 10 across its user base. Now, notice I mentioned only the Exynos processors are getting that. The Qualcomm Snapdragon processor used in the North America, South America, and China. No update yet for when it'll be receiving Android 10. If it follows what we saw last time around, it took about 40 days after the Exynos processors got it to get it to the other systems. So they should be getting it soon. And this might be making it sound like I'm making fun of Samsung. They're actually increasing in their speed and how they've done things. The company took 141 days to first ship Android Pie to its 2018 flagship, the Galaxy S9. And it took 3 months to ship an OS update. Why is it better now? Not necessarily because of how the OS has changed, but we've talked in passing, I think, about Project Treble. It's how Google has been making it easier to do updates by basically making it so good chunks of the operating system are handled by Google Play services and done in the background, making it a lot easier for OEMs to push out updates. So Samsung's making progress, and it's a positive sign. It's quicker than it has been in the past, not as quick as, say, Essential or the Pixel line itself, but we're getting there. This is the dream, so that you can have more and more people updating to the next version. I'm cautiously optimistic for the future of Samsung phones getting updates quicker and quicker.
I don't see myself getting a Samsung because I don't like what they've done, even though it's still stripped down. Even my dad, who owned a fairly recent Galaxy S device and then switched over to something else, noticed the significant increase in just speed by not having the Samsung whatever they've got on there. However, my biggest holdback from getting a Samsung has always been how slow they are to do updates. So this is really, really positive to see. And maybe we'll reach that point that I'll consider a Samsung eventually, because I just would like to see them strip it down a little bit more and get the updates fairly regularly. I love the Pixel because you get your updates every month. It's reliable. It's dependable. You know that you're going to get those. But, if I was getting the updates every other month to the Samsung, that might put it in the scope of where I'd consider it.
You want a Samsung Note, don't you?
Exactly, because I then can watch it and we can have a Note watch.
Or you can blow it up.
What else did you have for your extra, Chris?
So this is news that broke as of about 8:50 this evening, or 8:40 this evening, my time, or at least I noticed it about then. I did a review for Chris Taps That App probably a couple months back where I talked about YouTube TV. It was a service I really liked, but one of my biggest complaints was because of the licensing agreement between Google and CBS. It meant anything you recorded that was CBS on your DVR, you were forced to watch the on-demand version for the first 6 weeks it was out. Meaning, if you recorded, say, Survivor and didn't get around to watching it until the next day, you were then forced to watch on-demand commercials that were not fast-forwardable. Well, this evening, YouTube TV added full DVR controls to CBS-owned channels. You're not going to have to view on-demand versions of programs from CBS, Smithsonian Channel, Pop TV, and presumably the CW. I will check and find out after this show airs because it is also owned by Viacom. So you can fast forward through commercials and you are no longer forced to watch on-demand versions. This is a big deal to me because PlayStation Vue didn't make you do that, because Philo, I don't think, made you do it. I don't think any of the other major cord-cutting streaming services out there forced you to watch on-demand versions. This is awesome. It's a competitive advantage. And now if you want the pessimist take on things, it's we got something really cool. They're going to jack the price up here in a few months.
All right. This was really cool to see because I've thought a lot about your YouTube TV review because we don't have it in Canada, but it's been so appealing to me. And I've thought a lot about how much of an inconvenience that CBS section would be. I've actually played back your review a couple of times just to sort of hear it. And that has always stood out to me as a frustrating aspect. So it's really cool to see this. I agree. You might see a price increase. However, they might also absorb it. There's always the potential they'll absorb it just to keep growing, because if they're not going where they were projected to be going as far as memberships go, sometimes they're willing to absorb things in order to keep those membership subscriptions coming. And even if it goes up a little bit, maybe all of a sudden I'll have to start getting mail at one of your guys' address. SP, what's your thoughts on this?
I am starting to look into all these streaming services. I think we talked about it before. YouTube TV, Sling TV, all the other TVs that are streaming only, so I can get rid of my cable. I was looking at my cable bill. So my cable and internet is with the same company. And I was looking at the bill going, wow, that's just a lot of money that I'm paying for cable. And now that I have Disney Plus, although it's free for a year, and I have Prime and I have Netflix, and I think there's one other thing. Oh, the Roku free channel. That's pretty cool, by the way. If you go to the Roku free channel, there's some old shows on there that are just fun to watch. And that's true of several of the streaming services as well. But that's cool. I still want my live TV for various reasons, at least for now. So YouTube TV is one of the places to go. If I got YouTube TV for, even if it's $10 more, what is it? $60 a month then? If it's $10
It would be
more?
$60 a month if it was raised in price.
That's still less than what I'm paying my cable company for 3 DVRs and all the channels. So if it works, it works. And maybe if I do something like that, I would venture into getting something for a month or two, like CBS All Access, so I could stream that stuff. But really, the people in the house have put because I've talked about this to the people that live in the house right now, and they put their requirements in. And one of the requirements, believe it or not, was not from me, was the Hallmark Channel. And if the Hallmark Channel is on YouTube TV or Sling TV or whatever, then they get the, nope. Okay. Well,
you can get
also
the Friendly channel as an add-on that has it, but I think there's not a lot of things that have Hallmark. There's a bunch of breakdowns on the web that break down all of the channels, though.
Right. And I know that the Hallmark Channel can go ahead and I think it's $6.99. You can get their on demand. I don't know if it's streaming, but their on demand service. So maybe that's good enough.
It's basically equivalent to HBO Go or HBO Now. There's a Hallmark version where you can basically, as soon as an episode would be airing, it's on demand and viewable, is my understanding.
Don't compare it to HBO with me, because I'm still confused as to all the different channels that they have and all the things. They really need to get the HBO Max, Go, Now, whatever. They need to get it down to one. They really do.
That might be the plan long run. But one thing to consider as we talk about these streaming services, though, is I read something, I think it was on the Cord Cutter subreddit, that when you go to look at how many of them are profitable, it's just Sling so far. The rest of them are not making money. And in fact, part of the reason why PlayStation Vue is shutting down is it was costing them too much money. So the question is, where does Google find that right price point that helps make it so that they're not losing a ton of cash, but also doesn't chase off a bunch of users? And they just did a price increase this last year. So I'm really hoping this rumored $60 jump doesn't happen, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It's still cheaper than my Comcast, but it's starting to make that a narrower margin.
I think I made this comparison before. So when I was a younger lad in my teens and my 20s, my grandparents still had the phone with the dial on it, you know, the old rotary dial that they were renting from the phone company for $50 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
So there's a whole bunch of my generation on up who have grown up with cable. They love the cable or satellite, you know, whatever they've gone with. And that is what they understand. And unless there's somebody tech savvy in their house, I'll give you my parents, for instance. They have gone to Sling TV and using Tableau to get over the air to record that from a DVR. So that's how they get their sports. Of course, they're in an area where they get all their sports teams that are broadcast live in the area in the Twin Cities. I am not so lucky to get all the sports teams that I want to watch in the area that I live in. So what has happened with them, I'm not going to be able to take advantage of, but my mom has made that jump. So they're able to save money and they cut the cord. My mom cut the cord. It was great. My mom is tech savvy enough that she made it happen and they still get to watch what they want to. But there's a lot of people in that generation that aren't going to be tech savvy. And here's the thing long term, though. My kids will never have a cable subscription. They just can't afford it. They will never do it. They will have streaming service. So if live TV channels want to survive, they're going to need to find a way to enable subscriptions from that generation in order to survive. Because if they don't, they won't survive at all.
Totally agree. I mentioned it before. My kids, they're pretty young, but right now there is zero offerings that they actually have to watch on cable. There is one show that wasn't available on Netflix or Disney Plus, and I found it on an app for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. That is, so it's offered for free, and I have it on my Fire TV. So there's zero reason that my kids will want to use cable right now. And that sort of evolution of that generation is just going to keep evolving. They're going to go along and they're not going to see value in cable. They're going to go, what? I have to have a physical piece of hardware to record this? This is ridiculous. Where's my app? Right? And it's just going to continue and continue. So I totally with you, SP, 100%. Moving on to our next point here. This is something that I thought was worth a quick nod. Not much to talk about, but let's give credit where credit's due. Andrew Giant Waffle Bodine is now a record holder. Who is this Andrew Giant Waffle Bodine or Bodine? Well, over 30 days, Andrew completed a 19-hour stream every single day, resulting in a total of 572 hours of gameplay broadcast. This means he is now the world record holder in this category. Some of the games that he played include Red Dead Redemption 2, Luigi's Mansion 3, Escape from Tarkov, and a whole bunch of others. And he actually spent time training to do this because given that you're broadcasting for 19 hours a day, doesn't give a lot of time for other things going on. So he actually trained in order to do this so that he could end up adjusting his circadian rhythm to let him essentially get what sleep he could in that limited hour or free hours. So he is now the record holder here for gameplay live streaming over the course of 30 days. Previous streaming records include J-Big's 569 hours, It's Armand's 566 hours, and Edison Park's 541 hours. There you go. 572 hours in the course of 30 days is the new record. Chris, you have a lot to try to achieve here. You better get practicing and training now.
Yeah, I will never attempt something like this. That sounds like it takes all of the fun out of playing video games. Kudos to those that want to try it, but I got other ways I need to pay my bills. If I was making a bunch of money on Twitch or Mixer, I might be considering trying it, but no way.
Yep. You might be able to afford that Cybertruck that you hate.
It's true. I mega loathe it. I cannot wait for it to epically fail so I can be like, haha, I told you so, even though you go back and look at Gonna Geek 311 and I say nothing of the sort.
And lastly, in the extra, why don't we just continue on hating here? Chris Farrell's going to be the Cybertruck hater. Why don't I be the Google Stadia hater? Google has, let's read between the lines here. Google has announced 2 more games coming to Stadia in December. Farming Simulator 19 is going to be available for free, as is Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing about this is Farming Simulator 19 was already available, but was a purchased product. So it looks like after some controversy, Google is gone and they've made the Platinum Edition of Farming Simulator 19 part of the December Stadia, and they will kind of be working through the logistics of refunding. It sounds like for people who did pay for that already. The reason I wanted to bring this up was because, let's be honest here, this is chaos. This is absolute chaos. Last minute decisions being made of what they're offering for free. It doesn't look good. They're trying to entice people that it's worth that subscription. And I think this is a very, very clear example that they don't have a plan that they can follow on. And they're probably not seeing the sales that they wanted for the holiday season. That's sort of my reading between the lines. Chris Farrell, I know that you personally have gone out and bought one over this Black Friday weekend, didn't you?
So I hate Cybertruck and love Stadia now. What is going on in this world?
No, none of us own a Google Stadia. SP,
you owned one for a day.
I was going to ask, did you get your refund back yet?
It arrived today at the warehouse. It went like the slowest return, apparently. It arrived today.
Okay.
No money back yet.
Still waiting. Still waiting.
In all seriousness, we'll go back to Stadia. The technology's promising, but when you're banking your system off of, hey, your next free games are Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, which is a game that is relatively old in the grand scheme of things, and Farming Simulator Platinum Edition, I don't think that's quite the games that are going to move the needle to be like, oh my God, I'm going to stop buying my games through Steam or Epic Game Store and go to Stadia. it's an interesting step to try and make people who've already purchased stay in the infrastructure or the ecosystem rather. But
Yeah. Well, I'm not optimistic about this. This is looking worse and worse. And I just think that, again, this is really an example on them not having a clear path forward, and they're trying different things. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Like one day Chris will be proven wrong about the Cybertruck. We'll find out. That's going to go ahead and wrap us up for this week's show. Before we go, Chris Farrell, is there anything that you'd like to plug or promote?
I was going to buy a domain just to do a gag here, but it's cheaper just not to. Hey, if you guys want to go find out about my new podcast, go to chrishatesthecybertruck.com. I'm going to live up to this. I was this close to hitting the buy button on that domain, but I don't need to spend $12 for a gag that I'll forget about and have to pay for next year.
You don't need to spend the $12. You can apply that $12 to your $100 pre-order.
In all fairness, the only thing I really said about Cybertruck Negative is it's not really a fit for me because it doesn't fit what I'm looking for. So I guess that makes me a hater. But regardless, it's an interesting conversation we're having on the Gonna Geek comments in regards to Cybertruck and things like that. So thank you, folks, for the comments there. And I do enjoy engaging with you, although I'm kind of curious how the perceptions come about that I'm negative on both Ford and Tesla's electrical vehicles when I'm more intrigued and cautiously optimistic, I thought. So if you want to keep the debate going, let's talk more and we'll figure out what all's going on.
It was my fault. I actually put a banner over there saying Chris Farrell, I hate Cybertrucks. That was the quote below your name.
It was because you brought up the Rivian truck. That's why.
So if this episode gets 500 thumbs ups, Chris is going to get a tattoo that says he hates the Cybertruck. No, I'm not.
We can arrange that.
Yes. As I was saying, I'm like, these son of a guns are going to go on eBay and purchase a bunch of likes just to screw me.
Exactly, because you could do that on YouTube.
Yeah. So in all seriousness, it's an interesting conversation we have going on in the comments section. Please, folks, feel free to chime in on the comments section for any of our previously aired shows. We do enjoy engaging with you guys and sharing ideas, although sometimes I fully admit I scratch my head and go, I wonder how what I said got misconstrued.
Also, I think that the summary of what I said was way, way more even keeled than I deserve. I think it was something like Steven, quote, let's wait and see, or something like that. It's just like, no, I was more direct than that. But anyways, we'll take it. We'll take it.
You said that you thought it was hideous, but you thought you wanted one anyway, despite it being hideous.
It's true. I stand by that. SP, is there anything that you would like to plug or promote? Perhaps you'd like to seek a new co-host for the Starling Tribune the last few episodes because you're going to fire Chris Farrell because he hates the Cybertruck so much?
Yeah, that's right. It's a divide between us. But yeah, Starling Tribune, that's a great way to start here. So this week is the final week before the crossover, and then starts the 5-episode crossover, 3 next week, and then 2 when they come back in January. We'll be covering them all the crossover episodes, one by one over the course of 5 weeks on the Starling Tribune, and that is with Chris and our co-host Michelle. And then we're going to cover the last 2 episodes of Arrow after that. And that will be it for the Starling Tribune. And we might do a wrap-up show. We haven't decided on that yet or not. But if you like the DC Comics, this crisis is just going to be insane. And there's going to be 5 total episodes to it. It's going to be fun. And we're going to be covering it on the Starling Tribune. And also go to over to our Discord server at GonnaGeek.com/Discord and join in the conversation on the Starling Tribune channel there. And we're just having fun talking about DC, including why you can't make a Superman movie.
By the way, we haven't talked about this yet because we haven't had a podcast that has closed up on the network since we started our Discord server. I don't know what we're going to do with that channel on the Discord server, but I have it on good authority that it might change to a Cybertruck fan channel. I could be wrong, but I think SP might be taking it that direction.
Go for it, man.
I think so. We might just leave it as a DC channel and move it to a different category. But yeah, the Starling Tribune channel will probably go bye-bye after a few weeks after our last episode goes out. So that'll be in the March-April timeframe.
But on that note, for episode 312 of the official GonnaGeek.com show, I'm Stephen Jondrew saying, Chris, why do you gotta hate the Cybertruck, man? You're driving our listeners away.
And I'm SP saying, I bought a MacBook, I'm in on the lawsuit, and I pre-ordered a Cybertruck.
I'm Chris Farrell, and I hate the Cybertruck.
Take that quote. I'll clear out the background music for anyone that wants it. Send me an email. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the official GonnaGeek.com show. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or a thumbs up on YouTube. You can always join us for our live recording sessions, which stream Mondays at 8:45 p.m. Eastern at www.geeks.live. And remember, you can find our full back catalog at GonnaGeek.com/show. If you're itching for more geeky content, check out other shows on GonnaGeekNetwork.com. Voice work was by Emily Prokop of the Story Behind podcast. That's it for this episode. We hope to see you back again next week.